losing from these people. Secondly, Mr. Speaker, we have elevated some health facilities from grade 3 to grade 4, from grade 4 to district hospitals, from district hospital to regional referral hospitals. I want to take the example of Yumbe Hospital. We are losing a lot of basic facilities that's supposed to be there in order to get those services from those hospitals. Like when you go to Yumbe Referral Hospital, we don't have ENT clinic. We don't have nursing school there. And many other things that are supposed to be there, they are not there. And equally, in those healthy for grade 4 facilities, there are also those basic things that are supposed to be there, they are not there. And the staffing level in those health units are not enough. So it makes the community, it makes it very hard for the communities to get those services in those health facilities. Thirdly, Mr. Speaker, I want to talk about the sod work that we are losing a lot of money in, more especially in the area of road infrastructure. Mr. Speaker, you'll find that a road that is tarmac that is supposed to last from 30 years to 50 years is only destroyed within a year. And it makes us to go again in order to rehabilitate and also to fund those roads that we are supposed to have used for more than 30 years. So, considering that, you'll find that there is no value for money as far as those infrastructure works are concerned. We need to do something which is really very possible in order to see that money is not wasted. Going again to do work that has already been done, Mr. Speaker, is really something that is really very appalling. I beg to submit. Thank you.
Thank you. Honorable Nzima.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I want to submit on 4 areas: agriculture, health, staffing levels, and the issue of program-based budgeting. Mr. Speaker, as a country, we have taken 4 areas to concentrate on and boost our productivity levels. Area number 1 is agriculture. Number 2 is industrialization, particularly mechanization, agriculture mechanization. Production, industrial production. Number 3 is ICT, then services. Mr. Speaker, sir, when you look at the issue of agricultural increase in agricultural productivity, it goes hand in hand with the agricultural mechanization. And when you also go to analyze the NRM manifesto, if you start with the manifesto of 2016 up 2021 and even 2021 and the running, government had promised to give tractors to every sub-county in this country. But since then, for us as a district, we have only received 1 tractor. Even the 1 tractor was provided without the discs up to now, since February. When you look at this allocation to the agriculture sector, much as we look at agriculture as our priority, the fundings do not speak to the allocations to this sector does not speak to our energy we put in terms of speaking and talking about agriculture. So I think we need to revisit this and try to allocate more money to the agriculture sector and also fulfill the manifesto objective that every sub-county must have a tractor. Number 2, Mr. Speaker.
Honorable, for each sector, if you're going to speak for that long, when will others speak?
Okay, let me summarize. In the health sector, Mr. Speaker, sir, I have 2 areas. Area number 1 was the observation by the chairman that out of 27 beds which are supposed to be there for intensive care unit in Mulago, we only have 15. And Mulago is the national referral hospital where other critical sicknesses are referred to. I will request that we look into this and increase the funding. And also the congestion in the Cancer Institute in the long run, to reduce this congestion, instead of concentrating treatment of cancer patient in Mulago, we should also look into trying to decentralize. We may not go to every regional referral hospital, but we can identify one regional referral hospital per region and equip it, and also train staff to reduce this congestion on the Mulago. On the issues of staffing level, Mr. Speaker, sir, government has said they have put ban on recruitment. But when you go to some of these districts, I was speaking to my district health officer. He gave me statistics. If you could allow, I will read, but there's no time. I will really think that let's try to revisit this and look into the issue of staffing. Finally, the program-based budgeting. Mr. Speaker, sir, much as we talk about program-based budgeting, when you look at the allocation of these fundings, it will appear the program-based budgeting is not well understood by these ministries. People come here and demand and say we have unfunded priorities, but under program budgeting system, the expectation is that money is given to the programs. Programs sit down, they allocate these monies to themselves. There is no extra money that is supposed to be demanded from Parliament. But you find these ministers come and say, please, I have unfunded priority. But above all, we're operating a cash budget. Here, we're trillion. Means government must advise the priority. It is within the 15. There's nothing like have been wrong.
Kanungu.
I want the chat and the report right it achieved maybe value. We owe that it has the effect on direction, or whenever there is still access to such a country. We all know that the cost of energy, the cost to take input. But I want to speak today in Kanungu. Even if the rains are electricity, how do you expect people to do value is to request the connection so that to
find out where are those workers, you will not find any records giving us the number of workers in those industries. The reason being, majority of workers in those industries are working as casuals, so they cannot be traced. And in that way, government is losing money. They would be able to collect pay as you earn, but they can't, because most of the workers in those areas are working as casuals, whether skilled or unskilled. My second issue, Right Honorable Speaker, is to do with the report again. I've observed we submitted a number of key priorities, but they have not been captured in the report. The entire report just has a small paragraph for the Ministry of Gender, Labor and Social Development. I think this is an omission. The chairman will respond. And yet we have issues, serious issues. One of them is child labor. It has become an international issue. In the last conference of ILO, the government was reported that there is an issue of child labor in Uganda, and of recent there is another report that is even threatening to boycott our products that are produced using child labor. They involve, among the products is fish, coffee, and others. So I'm wondering why our report, which we very well submitted to the committee, has not been captured. And I want to appeal to the chairman that these details, the key priority areas, be captured in the report before it is adopted. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Honorable Senyonyi, you wanted to make comments and then we continue? No, Chair, you will respond at once. Yeah, we can't go issue by issue.
Right, Honorable Speaker, maybe for the comfort of colleagues, you didn't even call me as low. Normally when you call me, people think you're going to close debate, but you promised us that you're going to avail adequate time.
That's why I called you as Honorable Senyonyi. The end is elope.
There you are. The debate is still on, as you did promise. Honorable Speaker, a couple of issues that have concern with the budget process that we're handling and with specificity, the budget framework paper. Domestic arrears have been alluded to by colleagues. Right now, the amount is 14.6 trillion shillings. This is money that government owes to the people of Uganda. Suppliers, those that have done work for government, contractors, pensioners, and so on and so forth. Government many times actually does not want to add this figure to our total debt burden. I remember last time we had some pettifogging here with the Minister of Finance. They are so convinced this figure should not be part of our debt burden. But you see, government, when somebody does work for you, when somebody provides a service, and you have agreed on a particular amount of money and you have not paid them, you owe them. That's a debt. And I would like government to begin to take it that seriously. Maybe that's why they don't even factor it in a great deal, because this year they're providing about 200 billion shillings. But we're talking about a backlog of 14.6 trillion. Maybe when you begin to consider it as a debt is when you begin to attend to this money.
Maybe Honorable Senyonyi, for the record, which they corrected earlier, the one of Bank of Uganda has been cleared. We are now remaining with 5.
Honorable Speaker, we are waiting for clarity, because again, it was raised to say they have told us they have cleared this, but there has been no ascertainment. So government will need to ascertain that to us. Because truthfully, many times they tell us we have done this. Sometimes you say, government tells us we have sent money for capitation grant, and then members across, they say, but the money hasn't reached. So we shall need that to be ascertained. But the critical point is that this money should begin to be considered as part of our public debt. Let's pay these ordinary people. You are so quick in paying these foreign investors and so on. These are our ordinary people who are buttressing our economy. Can we pay these people? Honorable Speaker, I am also concerned that we have not allocated money for Kitezi landfill victims. I don't know why government does not care about its people. Attorney General, let's not wait for these people to go to court, because they suffered this catastrophe as a result of negligence of government officials, and that's why some have been taken to court. let's, in fact, don't even look at it as paying because, well, it is. But can we care about our people? They lost their loved ones. Right Honorable Speaker, some of these people have not had the bodies of their loved ones recovered. Because government reached a particular cap and they said, we cannot trace any more bodies. And I remember there is one man who lost his wife and child. I saw him making an appeal on TV. He said, can government allow us to carry out a funeral service here so that they can have closure? Because he had not, up to now, recovered the remains of their loved ones. Let us care about our people. This was an emergency. It should have been considered very critically, especially because it was as a result of negligence of government, because these people had their homes neighboring this landfill. Government didn't take care of it, and the catastrophe happened. Let's spare them. Let's take care of these people. Honorable Speaker, maybe relatedly, over 10 years ago, there were people occupying the Nakawa estate. Government came up with a grand idea after somebody approached them and said, we want to put up a satellite city here, in that area. It's actually in my constituency. So people were evicted. In the night, they were crying with their staff. Some went back to their villages and so on. And government told them, don't worry. In a few months, there's going to be apartments built here. You are going to be the first beneficiaries, you. So some of them waited. Many have since died until tomorrow. That did not happen. Government promised that, okay, we are going to shoulder this burden, this inconvenience, and the amount that was agreed upon about 7 or 8 years ago was 17.9 million shillings for each of these households. Up to now, these people have not gotten that little money. Mr. Finance Minister, 17.9 million shillings of 8 years ago is not even the same today. So the longer you take to clear this money, the lesser it becomes because of inflation and many other factors. I don't know why we don't capture these things and we take care of these people. When you make a promise, when you make a pledge, fulfill it, because government said we have inconvenienced you, we are sorry, the apartments we promised you have not come, let's pay you. But those people are always crying, they have not gotten their money. Why? And yet it's not much money. Honorable Speaker, we have talked severally about healthcare. I'm glad that even the majority report is capturing these issues, because some of these matters are not even partisan in nature. Each of us wants good healthcare in our constituencies. Because as you know, any of us, you could be deep in your constituency and you get a medical emergency. While you have resources that can take you to whichever good health facility in this country and abroad, at that time, you need emergency attention. And the nearest will be that health center 3, that health center 4. As we did see it happen to one of our colleagues in Kanungu. He had to be taken to that health center. Can we attend to them? So when we talk about these issues, it's not political. It's for the good of all of us. So our hope is that we will pay attention. Mulago is our national referral hospital. First of all, even the 27 or more beds, ICU beds as we were told, are not adequate for a national referral. But only 15 of those are functional. These matters should concern us. For me, this is a national tragedy, that your national referral has got 15 functional ICU beds. I thought COVID taught us something, that a medical emergency can happen. It should find us ready. Honorable Speaker, I had a constituent who eventually passed on at the Uganda Cancer Institute. A few times I would frequent it. You'd find people sleeping outside, including patients, outside the Uganda Cancer Institute in the cold. Surely, government, let's care about our people. I don't know how we can overemphasize this matter. And I found many people, each time I would go to visit, people would tell me, please help us, please help us. They would be outside in the cold, including patients. This should concern us. Honorable Speaker, we have got a challenge that I have raised here severally about government tax exemptions. I think that the Ministry of Finance needs to put an end to these uncontrolled tax exemptions. They are problematic they happen so wantonly and they are abused. Now, does that mean that any serious jurisdiction cannot have that as a policy? Of course not. But we have refused to do this in an orderly manner. Honorable Speaker, as I mentioned, the Minister of Finance here, Minister of State for Finance, General Duties, the Honorable Musa Asizi, promised us, when I raised this matter last year, that by the end of last year they will come to Parliament with a comprehensive taxation policy. We are now in 2025. Where is that taxation policy? Because it would guide, it's not, a taxation policy is not limited to the new taxes you're introducing. It includes things like how you get to exempt, who warrants an exemption and that kind of thing. I don't know why that taxation policy has not come. And yet, you committed to bring it. I know the excuse you'll give is this year we're not introducing new taxes. No, we are planning for the future. But also because these tax exemptions are abused severally. Can we have a clear policy so that we know it applies across the board? So that it is not people who are friends with the minister or whoever who will get an exemption. Let it be clear. And relatedly, Right Honorable Speaker, the question of bailouts has also been abused. I did, together with colleagues, visit Atiak Sugar Factory that's been given 553 billion shillings. We visited Day Biopharma that has been given 723 billion shillings. We went to Rocco that's been given about 265 billion shillings and others as bailouts. And we have said, look, a bailout is something government can do, but let it be properly organized. Let there be a policy so that Ugandans who are struggling, Ugandan businesses, they know this is how I can apply to be considered. But now nobody knows. It is a few people who obviously should be connected that get to have taxpayers' money. Why? Because then people will keep accusing you, Honorable Musa Asizi, to say those who are getting bailouts, either you are a shareholder in those companies as ministers and so on. Why do you not have a clear policy so that people know anyone that is hard up, I am employing many Ugandans, I should be able to access so that it is fair. I hope that that can come. Together with the taxation policy, this bailout policy needs to come. Second to last, Right Honorable Speaker, as a country, we need to become a lot more aggressive against the fight, in the fight against corruption. We need to become a lot more aggressive than we are. We lose 10 trillion shillings per year, according to a report by the Inspectorate of Government. 10 trillion shillings. That's a third of what URA collects. So just think about it. URA collects money, taxpayer money, and a third of it is stolen. This is grotesque, to say the least. I hope that we can become a lot more aggressive. Because, you know, whenever we say, can we deploy more money here or there, government says we have limited resources. If we dealt with some of these bad manners of ours, like corruption, the money will be available. Imagine 10 trillion shillings. How many health centers can that build? How many seed schools? How many roads can be worked on? We need to become a lot more aggressive. We need to make corruption risky. Honorable Speaker, in countries where corruption is not as prevalent as it is here, it's not because they are morally upright or they are very good people. No, their systems have made it risky for people to steal. We need to do that here. Otherwise, we'll keep singing the same songs again and again. Finally, Right Honorable Speaker, and this really is for record purposes, when the budget framework paper is being handled by the sectoral committees, different entities interface with them, discuss their budgets, and so on and so forth. The Parliamentary Commission met the Legal and Parliamentary Affairs Committee on 13th January 2025 regarding the budget of the Commission. I'm a member of the Commission. I was not invited for this meeting, as has been the case with many other meetings. One of the members in the committee asked, because it was in the Speaker's boardroom, she was present with 2 or 3 commissioners. When one of the members on the committee asked whether I had been informed, one of the commissioners said, yes, I had been informed. And I kept wondering how. Because commission meetings are not handled through hearsay in the corridors. An invitation is meant to be written so that I know, but I did not know about this. And that commissioner said I had been invited. I do not know how. So I thought this should be on record because it's important that we are transparent how we operate. It is problematic that some members of the commission will be locked out when critical issues like our budgets are being discussed. Honorable Speaker, we do not get to be members of the commission on anyone's invitation. It is by law. So I thought that would be clarified because I know that our budget is part of what we are discussing. Some of us were not party to this. Maybe, Right Honorable Speaker, as Deputy Speaker, you got an invitation but sent apologies. I don't know. In my case, there was no such situation. And I don't know why we keep doing the same thing because it shows there are certain things we are hiding and yet there should be nothing being hidden. I thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Just to make a clarification on that point, I didn't receive an invitation, I didn't attend the meeting, and I don't think it was necessary because the budget of the commission is presented by the cracked parliament. What we did as a commission was to meet much earlier, we approve, and then we hand over to the accounting officer to go and interact with the committee. Now, if some people went and attended, I don't know, but I wasn't interested because I had done my job at the commission level. For the area meeting, I don't know, I would need it to cross-check. But to go to appear before the committee, I wasn't interested because that is the work of the clerk and not me. Honorable Tuka Isaac, then Honorable Barreiro Tom.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, for this opportunity. Mr. Speaker, I want to thank the chair of the committee and also Honorable Semujo for the reports that they have laid before us. Chair, I'm going to address myself to 3 issues. The first is to start with the presidential pledges. Right Honorable Speaker, you will recall that presidential pledges have been issues discussed here over time. And by the time the president makes a pledge, we expect that the ministries, departments, and agencies are represented in such engagements. But over the years, you will find that these presidential pledges are not made priorities. When we were meeting the universities, apart from, I think, Mbarara University or 1 or 2 universities, all the universities have big presidential pledges that the Ministry of Education has never captured. And I think on page 178 of the report which was presented by the chair budget, there are 2 universities, which private universities, moreover, selected to benefit from the presidential pledges. And somebody questioned the criteria of selecting such institutions for benefiting from such. And yet, all the government universities that have pledges of 14 billion, 15 billion have never been catered for. Chair, when we look at the priorities of this budget, we are talking about agro-industrialization, tourism, mineral-based industrialization, and science and technology. It is very ironical that even when we are talking about research, the ministers are here, the chairs here, you will find out that the universities, apart from Makerere University, have in fact been denied funding for research. Where even the committee recommended only mere 1 billion. Research is one of the cardinal roles of a university. And now, if we deny the universities money for research, and here we are talking about research, science and technology, innovation, and what have you, it is really irony. So I think Minister of Finance has to look into that. Chair, one other issue, which in fact, rather Right Honorable Speaker, one other issue which really has also affected us so much is the budget cuts. In the IPFs have been reduced across ministries, departments, and agencies. at a very critical time. The minister is here in 2023-2024 financial year. Anyirbu Health Center 3 was allocated 920 million. Honorable Minister, I wish you captured that one properly. But you cut the whole money. The sub-county went ahead to establish, to rent a small house in a trading center. But even the local government could not afford paying the rent. Now the few drugs have been transferred to the office of the LC3 chairperson in Anyirbu sub-county. And this issue of budget cuts, when we look at IPFs, it is by the Ministry of Finance. Ministry of Finance, I think it is something which is very unfair. And that now takes me, Right Honorable Speaker, to the issue of the unbalanced developments across this country. One colleague said in some places, people are advocating for water for animals. But for us, even where we are asking for one borehole, even a tank, a water tank, the ministry cannot give. And yet in some places, people are asking for dams and whatever, multi-billion projects. That is how unfair Ministry of Finance is. Because when we look at whatever is happening, it is very appalling. In the report, the chairperson of the budget committee pointed out the issues of concern in the education sector. But one of the stick issues was the issue of the discriminatory salary enhancement for art and science teachers. This has put a lot of burden on the parents, because as members of the education committee, when we visit schools like Nabisunsa and the like, the parents decided that we cannot afford to have such kind of discriminatory salary enhancement. What they did was just to increase fees so that all the science and art teachers are paid uniform, because these are people who sit in the same staff room. But now, majority of the schools that could not now afford that kind of situation. Teachers are in a bad situation. Schools are practically, if you go to many government schools, there is no teaching and learning. And I want to really say that this issue of the discriminatory salary areas is properly catered for in this budget. Right one.
Thank you, Honorable Okayo. Arero Tom, then Okayo. Honorable colleagues, Rope has a special status. So the time I gave him, you need to work hard to reach his status. So don't say you gave Rope so much time, then you. But that doesn't mean you cross to become a Rope. Yes. Yes, Honorable Arero.
Thank you very much, Right Honorable Speaker, for giving me the chance. And I'd like to thank the chair of the committee. In a similar vein, I'd also like to thank Honorable Semu Uganda for his minority report. The theme for the budget is related to agro-industrialization and commercialization of agriculture. Mr. Speaker, agro-industrialization and agriculture can only be possible if we can tackle issues related to climate change. We have issues like change in the weather pattern in most parts of the country. We have dry spell with the intense, strong sun heat, and at times destruction of properties by destruction of crops by hailstorm and so on and so forth, which has led to crop failure, and therefore it is imperative that if we are to really follow the theme of this year's budget, we should consider issues like irrigation, tractors, and as well as mechanization of agriculture if we are to succeed in achieving our theme of budget for financial year 2025-2026. May the government also in a similar vein fast track the construction of the bridge across River Nile in Laropi, in Moyo district, for transportation of perishable goods. Because more often than not, You find perishable goods like tomatoes, cabbages, onions, fresh fish, and so on get spoiled because of the delays at the ferry point. Mr. Speaker, I'd like to thank the government for kickstarting the construction of Koboko Yumbe Moyo Road. As I talk now, the work is in progress. Thank you very much, government, and I hope the work will not stall and will go ahead. Mr. Speaker, we are also awaiting for the fast tracking of the construction of Laropi Moyo Afoji Jali Road, because as I talk now, the procurement process is on, and we'll be happy if that can also be fast tracked for transportation of perishable goods. Under education, Mr. Speaker, Moni University had expressed interest in repurposing RP PTC into Moni Technoscience University, but up to now, that has not come to fruition. We are waiting for the result, and I hope all will be okay. Lastly, Mr. Speaker, electricity is the vehicle for agro-processing. Electricity is the vehicle for agro-industrialization. In Moyo district, electricity is unsteady, unreliable, it's always off and on, and we'll be very grateful if power in Moyo is stabilized for encouraging agro-processing as well as agro-industrialization. Thank you very much, Speaker.
Thank you, Honorable Kayo. Colleagues, we are using maximum 3 minutes.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, me and my colleagues who represent the fishing community have always come to this house with only lamentations. But why? If the fisheries subsector was funded, then our problems and the problems of our communities would be solved. Right Honorable Speaker, the report clearly indicates that the fisheries subsector exported only 5% after producing 5.6%. This is a sleeping giant. The fisheries subsector, if properly funded, can turn around the economy of this country. Right Honorable Speaker, if our people were facilitated with fishing gears, fishing inputs, then the economy of this country would change because of the fisheries subsector. Many fishing areas were provided with facilities to make better the fish we produce, but all these are now white elephants. This should be addressed. Right Honorable Speaker, when it comes to the question of Busoga University, year in, year out, people from Busoga and Bunyoro have been calling on the government to establish a university in these regions. Right Honorable Speaker, the President in his tours clearly, through the Minister of Education, stated that Busoga University was on track and funding had been provided. Today, we are getting to know that even no vote is awarded to Busoga University. Busoga and Bunyoro are calling for actualization of these universities. Right Honorable Speaker, I come from a hard-to-reach area, and like my other colleagues, these are the areas that would be given priority. Like my colleague has stated, whereas other areas have got 2, 3 seed secondary schools, some of us from the islands, hard-to-reach areas, you find that sub-counties like Lolio sub-county has no secondary school, Bukana sub-county has no secondary school, Jaguzi in Mayuge district, where the Right Honorable Prime Minister comes from, no secondary school, Bumba, no secondary school, and name others in Buvuma. Right Honorable Speaker, I think this budget and we should address these hard-to-reach areas. Finally, Right Honorable Speaker, I have not heard about money for elections. I sit on Defense and Internal Affairs Committee, and the budget for election monitoring, election was about to recruit 5,000 policemen, and then also to recruit 5,000 polling constables. It is unfunded priority, Right Honorable Speaker. So it is an area that actually we need to look at because we need peaceful elections. Instead, the committee only says that the army requested for money, which is a preserve of Uganda Police Force. It has not come.
Thank you. Honorable Vako Merisa, Honorable Taringa Yabazir.
Thank you so much, Right Honorable Speaker. I want to thank the Chair, Budget Committee, and Honorable Semunju for the report. Right Honorable Speaker, for the few years I've been here in Parliament, I want to applaud the Minister of Education for their good system of communication. We as members of Parliament do write to these ministries, but I have confirmed that Minister of Education always responds or gives feedback to our letters. We raise issues through writing requisitions to the ministry. They always respond that, Honorable, if resource envelope permits, we shall consider your concerns. And this resource envelope never materializes. Meaning, this ministry is underfunded. And I have also confirmed from the Budget Committee that there is low investment in education sector. As members of Parliament, as we are the custodians of budget allocation, I am suggesting that this time round, let us support our Minister of Education, because it is through good education that we can be placed wherever we want to be. And if you come from rural places like me, you will find out that people are struggling with education. We are saying that we have government schools, but members, I want to tell you that parents are struggling. Education has become very expensive. Why? It's because we have abandoned our own government schools. We have shifted to private schools because of performance. And how do we perform best? We can perform best when there's good and conducive environment for education, when teachers are well paid, when there's enough money for inspections, for assessments, for many other factors that attribute to good performance. So that is my concern, Right Honorable Speaker. We also emphasized on agriculture, and we are saying we should eradicate poverty in rural areas, not only in urban areas, in rural areas through agriculture. Right Honorable Speaker, we can only assist subsistence farmers to upgrade to commercial farmers when government can invest enough by recruiting enough agricultural extension workers. Because some of those subsistence farmers don't know what to do with even the production we're talking about, the commercial mechanization and so on. All this needs extension workers to us.
Thank you. Honorable Taringa ya Honorable Kutanya Soweto.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker, for the opportunity. For the record, I was the first in the House, although I'm speaking much later. Yes. I was here with the Honorable Minister and the Honorable Semuju.
No, I'm going by how you registered.
Yes.
So okay. You are the first in, yes, but in the middle in terms of registration.
So thank you, Mr. Honorable Speaker. I will start with the GDP. It has increased from 144 trillion to 154, but the revenue is, tax revenue is not growing in response to that. I believe these tax holidays should be checked. Two, I go to education. My district submitted 4 seed schools in 2021, but the new vision published the list, and my district was left out. So I wonder what happened in the budgeting process. Capitation grant, 6,000 per child per term, translates 75 shillings per day on an average of 80 days in a term. Surely 75 shillings is too little to support a child. Health, USA has recently suspended aid to many countries, including Uganda, And I think we should refocus our budget to make sure that people who are on ARVs are taken care of, and also health center tools are upgraded to health center 3s, and health center 4s are completed. We created town councils way back in 2016, 2017. But these town councils are not being funded completely. So my town councils, people don't have any services, no roads, no nothing. And then last time, emoluments for LC 1 to LC 5 had appeared in the budget, and the president had indicated that it was good, but it evaporated from the budget last time. I beg that this time it is considered, and LC 1s, their emoluments are increased. Electricity, we have naked poles across the country, especially in Kashar North, since 2021. How shall we promote value addition without electricity? Second last, Bwizibwera, Buheju, Kabwohe, Metoma Road. In the NDP4, now it has been listed as pre-feasibility. Yet it has been in NDP 1 up to 4. So what happened? Lastly, domestic carriers. I saw a figure from Honorable Semujo of 14 trillion. So if we allocate 200 billion per year, it will take us 70 years to pay off these domestic areas when we have stopped accumulating any new ones. I beg to submit, Honorable Speaker.
Thank you. Kitanya Sowed, Papa Lilian, Moses Arepe.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. I want to begin by thanking the committee for the good report, but also I want to thank Honorable Semuju for the good minority report. Right Honorable Speaker, I want to comment on 3 issues. One, on page 7 of the main report, the committee observes that the National Budget Framework paper is in compliance with the PFMA 2015, but runs short of 3 major issues, and one of the issues is the issue to do with the rate of employment and unemployment. Right Honorable Speaker, we just had our recent population census, and in my opinion, the population census should have provided these figures. The committee observes that this is not the first time that on several occasions the rates for unemployment and employment have not been provided. I just wanted the Ministry of Finance to tell us why it has become very difficult for it to provide this essential indicator, yet it is very important in terms of planning. Right Honorable Speaker, there is a pending strike by arts teachers. They have warned that if their salaries are not enhanced, they are soon going on strike. As Parliament, we should be seen trying to answer their cry. My suggestion, Right Honorable Speaker, is that since government does not have enough money, we could enhance their salary by increasing at least by some percentages, so that in this budget framework paper, we put like 5%, the next should be 10%, so that they see that their work is being appreciated. On page 47 of the report, Right Honorable Speaker, the committee observed the issue of Mulago Cancer Institute, and I want to add my voice
to the voices of the other colleagues that have talked about this Cancer Institute, Right Honorable Speaker, a few weeks ago, I also visited this Cancer Institute. Right Honorable Speaker, the patients welcome you right away from the first door of the institute. I would beg that in this budget, we should get some substantial amount of money and see that we complete the structures, but also work towards ensuring that we also establish regional cancer institutes.
Thank you, Honorable Papa Lydian.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. Right Honorable Speaker, the committee reported that we continue to pay commitment fee on loans that we borrow. Right Honorable Speaker, from the time we joined this parliament, especially as the first timers, this has been reported. And the question has been asked, why do we borrow when we are not ready to utilize the money? Instead, we are continuing to spend on some monies that we have borrowed. I think the minister will explain to us why this is happening and it is continuing to happen. Right Honorable Speaker, I'm from one of the remnant districts, that is Arua district. As of now, until now, my headquarters, my staff are sitting at the city center. Last year, the government allocated some small amount of money to the remnant districts. We've started putting some foundation and latrines to see that we can move. But this financial year, because the logic was that they are giving some small money, they will continue to put some money in every financial year. This time around, there's no allocation for the remnant districts. Right Honorable Speaker, the people of Arua district cannot continue to move far to the city to access services. So let the ministry take priority on this, and money is allocated for the remnant districts so that they can move to their location. Right Honorable Speaker, I think there is a correlation between the fact that the commercial banks are not giving enough money to the private sector. The private sector are affected by the domestic areas. I think there's a correlation between that. And that means internally, we are killing our private sector. It is reported here that the amounts that the commercial banks give to our business people is reducing. And it is because our business, local business persons are affected by the domestic areas that they are not getting. If we can't balance that, then we are going to kill the local businesses that we have in this country. Right Honorable Speaker, I want to urge the ministry to have a coordinated budgeting. We have stalled projects. These universities, let me give an example of universities. They have projects that started 10 years ago. Probably they're in the first floor, second floor. But we go ahead to allocate new structures in other institutions without finishing or without completing, as if we don't have a record of where we started and where we are going. So if we cannot fast track and have a coordinated planning, we are just deceiving ourselves. 10 years, a structure is there, you are allocating money to start new structures. Also roads, Right Honorable Speaker, we have been crying here as West Nilers on our road. The road between Pakwach and Nebi was supposed to be constructed within 2 years. It is almost 4 years between Nebi and Pakwach. Now Nebi Arua, we are here crying over it, when that stretch is not yet even completed. And we are jumping to allocate for other roads when these ones are not completed. So let us have a coordinated planning, and I think that way we shall have quality delivery and have the trust of the people in us, who are appropriating. Thank you.
Thank you. Mother Sareper. Okay. Nanda Mafabi, Brenda Nabu Kenya, Kayemba Soro. Colleagues, you don't need to stand up, okay? Yeah. You see, I've learned a reward system. In the morning, it's reward, but indirect sanctioning also. So in the morning, when I came, the ones who were in, I said, whoever wants to submit, register yourself. I've now finished that list. They submitted. Now we agreed we'll be here at 2:30, 2:35. So the ones who were in, okay, I said if you want to submit, please register. They've also registered. So I've gone on those ones. Okay? So once I finish, then I can pick those ones who came at leisure, who came at, yeah. So, Honorable Nandara Mafabi, so you don't need to stand up because I have my list. Before I conclude them, I cannot pick you even if you stand up how many times. Honorable Nandara Mafabi, Honorable Brenda Nabukenya, Honorable Kayemba Soro, Honorable Sazi Godfrey.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, this goes directed to the Attorney General and the Minister of Finance. As you are aware, under Section 25, a minister has powers to appropriate 10% of the budget without coming to Parliament. And this 10% arises from Section 26 of the Contingent Fund, which is 3.5% of the total budget. I want you to confirm to us that you do these budgets intentionally so that you are able to have the 10% without a recourse to Parliament. If not, why don't we amend the law to say that instead of the approved budget, what was spent the previous financial year should be the one to be applicable. 2, Mr. Speaker, they talked about ghost schools, and I think education is very important. I have seen a school in Mbale called Mbale Senior Secondary. It is being called under the schools faith-based or for government aid. Mbale is totally 100% a government school. How do you leave schools which are meant to really benefit and you put Mbale? This is on page 386, number 162. I want the committee to explain to us how they brought in a ghost school, which is already a government what? Government school. In fact, we would propose maybe that money is applied to start Mbale University, which all of us are clamoring for. Mr. Speaker, I have noticed these budgets every year. If you look through the lists of those people, the projects which are going to be implemented, they have been brought here, year in, year out, like the schools, like the health units and whatever. Why? Why do you recycle? We need a commitment from government that if anything stays, and because these are by their only the schools which appear always, and we don't know how they reach the list. I had my brother asking that they put 4 city schools in their area, none appeared. They must tell us the criteria, how they choose these schools, how they choose these health centers, because this is becoming very interesting. Is it because you are members of budget committee, you go and put in what belongs to you, or what? And this must be explained to us. And that's maybe the reason why the president returned the list thing. You are making mistakes. For the first time, we must deal with how did these lists access the lists in the budget committee. 3, Mr. Speaker, I have here a school in Kampala. I can say in Mukono. They are charging 3,865,000. It's a private school. And it's headed by one person in those front bench. 3,865,000 per term. About 4 million. That's a school which can be afforded maybe by MPs. And exactly. Because that's a very expensive school. That means the recourse to other poor Ugandans is public schools. Now, if a public school is not in an area with good teachers, we're in problems. I want to make a proposal that government right now has created many sub-counties. Those which used to be villages are now sub-counties. Those which used to be sub-counties now are districts. I think the policy you made at that time for sub-counties was when they were big sub-counties and big districts. I recall they were initially 39. I don't know the number now. Why don't you go back? We review, because you can either put a school here, secondary school, yet it is in this village, and in I was in a government school In those years of ours, that was called Busoka College, we would travel school longer distances. And why you are doing this, you are even creating zero grazing. You are bringing people who are not knowing the world. I moved from another district, another tribe. Mr. Speaker, can I know information? Because it looks a very interesting topic.
Honorable, your time is up. Honorable Brenda Nabukenya. I had, as a senior, I had given you an extra minute. So now I saw you donating also. Honorable Nabukenya.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. I want to thank the Honorable Semju for the minority report and also highlight also a few issues in the major report. Right Honorable Speaker, in the major report at 4.1, they noted or informed us that research and innovation is one of the budget strategy. And on page 40.1, under the Education Committee report highlights, it is informed that actually research is underfunded. Right Honorable Speaker, research and innovation funds, if they're invested, that is for the public good. We cannot move our country to develop or realize effective development, sustainable development, if we don't invest in research. Right Honorable Speaker, I was the Shadow Minister for Education in the first quarter of the term, and we used to have universities come to our committee. Initially, Makerere University used to get 30 billions for research, and all these other universities had to collaborate with that university, Makerere, to do research. But you understand that actually government had introduced new universities that are doing science independently with different programs, and they were collaborating with other foreign universities. And they were not given research monies until we pushed and we made sure that government at least awards these universities at least 2 billion because their work had stalled, and you find that they are doing different researches. Like Busitema, they were working on fish feeds that started a project, and they were collaborating with a foreign university, but their work had stalled because they didn't have funds. And you can imagine, we are promoting fish farming. I was in Japan and I saw our tilapia on one of the stalls in the supermarket, and it was very expensive. Now, when it is becoming extinct, we are telling people that you should go and do farm fish. But if a university is now getting into a project that is going to enable farmers acquire feeds, but these universities are not given enough research fees, there's no money for innovation. You find that a university is promised 2 billion and it comes in the last quarter, even not coming, being reduced. A country will not progress if you don't invest in research and innovation. Right Honorable Speaker, if we are to translate research and innovation into the economic development, we must deliberately invest in it. I don't see any will to invest in this. You find that we have so many projects in place, but when it comes to investing in them, we don't. So I want to urge that this House should actually recommend, Right Honorable Speaker, and we see that we have enough money for these universities, for these scientists, because we will see better agriculture, we will have better medical research, and we can become a hub for medical research and also agricultural research if we invest in research. Right Honorable Speaker.
Honorable Kayemba Soro, Honorable Sazi, Honorable Konigarongo.
Thank you very much, Right Honorable Speaker.
Honorable colleagues, I'm giving you 3 minutes, so be cautious.
Okay, thank you very much, Right Honorable Speaker. I thank both the main report and the minority report from my comrade, the Shadow Minister, Honorable Semujunganda. Right Honorable Speaker and the House, in the latest report of the Auditor General, That's 2023-2024 financial year. It indicates that out of the 355 sub-counties in the country, only 211 have the health center force at the sub-county level. 144 have no health center force at the sub-county level. Actually, in my sub-county where I come from, Butenga Rural, we have no any single health center, be it two of the government in that sub-county. In Honorable Semuju's report, he shows a detailed, wasteful expenditure of this government. Like 132 billions for beddings and clothing, 159 billions for donations, 298 billions for special meals. Right, Honorable Speaker, I think it would be good for this country to relocate this money to build the health centers in those missing sub-counties that have no single health centers and others that have health centers too instead of health centers for, as the NRM government policy says. Right, Honorable Speaker, another issue I want to tackle is about the body loans that will continue to pay interests. For example, in 2022, we borrowed a loan that was going to help the country, especially with those areas that didn't have electricity. Bokoma Nsimbi was one of the beneficiaries. As we speak now, last year, the Minister for Information, Honorable Bariomos, said that we are still finishing the bureaucratic things so that we can start utilizing that loan. We are paying the interest. Bokoma Nsimbi and other districts that have to benefit out of those loans haven't got anything. Why do we borrow money when we are not ready to utilize it? Thank you very much, Right Honorable Speaker.
Thank you. Honorable Sazi. Honorable
Thank you, Mr.
Garwango.
Speaker. In the same way, I want to thank the chairperson of the committee and the Honorable Semujunganda for the minority report. These reports are the same, only that the conclusions differ. Semuju is right. Honorable Semuju is right basing on his body, and the chairperson of the committee concludes differently. But Honorable Speaker, right Honorable Speaker, this is what I want to say. As Parliament, we should not surrender our responsibility. We should not eat our cake and then we have it. I have had a number of submissions from a number of honorable members lamenting about our priority areas. But again, when it comes to approving or passing, we pass everything. I wonder where we are, how we define priority areas. So, one, the budget framework paper is the first step to the final budget. So it is a draft, which means if we get lost from the start, we shall have got lost, even at the final budget. What am I saying? Section 9, Public Finance Management Act, says the budget framework paper must be consistent with the National Development Plan. And we have seen it, that the plan proposed 92 trillion, and the budget has 57 trillion. I wonder who was guessing and which is which. Another point, Mr. Speaker, we need to be realistic. You cannot talk about priority areas and you leave out power, you leave out roads, you leave out hospitals, you leave out education. Primary pupils, it is clear that each child is given 20,000, which means 6,000 shillings per term. I wonder what we are doing here, which means members, we should be for Ugandans. We should not be for someone, we should be for Ugandans. It comes to hospitals. There is a problem of corruption. I was reading somewhere, the IGIG was saying we lose 10 trillion I compared this amount to
Thank you. Honorable, the time you needed, like the other money which we needed, the way you used your time, I think you went beyond. Yeah. Honorable Koni Garwango, Honorable Namuga Goreti, Honorable Kawus Moses.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. Right Honorable Speaker, I would like to thank the committee chairman who presented the report, and Honorable Samuju. They have very good reports. However, in those reports, I have a few concerns that if they are reconciled, I think we'll move forward. Right Honorable Speaker, as an educationist, I'm going to basically zero in education. You're very much aware that they say that there's no money for the new curriculum for A-level. And we have a few days to start the term, and in a few, maybe in a few weeks or a few days, results will come out, and we'll need our children to go to attend school. I don't know if we don't have the 7 billion really for the curriculum to NCDC. I don't know the fate of our children in this country. Because if the technical team in the Ministry of Education has the children of Uganda at heart, this should have been a priority, other than putting it as a non-funded priority. Because it's quite crucial that our children have to go to A-level with the new curriculum. Right Honorable Speaker, I would also love to speak about the staffing levels in universities. Right Honorable Speaker, we know that with inadequate staff, there can be compromise of standards. Right Honorable Speaker, some universities, like Busitema, has as low as 10% staffing level. Others at 14, others at 19. If really we are serious as a government, we should prioritize this, that human resource is fundamental for a university to deliver. And this can only be done if we allocate resources. And therefore, I'm appealing to this House that we do that as early as possible, because even when they collect their NTR, the NTR goes to the center, and the center takes time to send the monies back. And sometimes the students even want to strike because they pay for the IDs and they can't receive the IDs because the money has gone to the center. And therefore, something has to be done. And Right Honorable Speaker, alongside that, universities have started, but with very inadequate infrastructure. If we deliver...
Thank you. Honorable Namuga, Honorable Kabusi Moses, Honorable Mzari Martin.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. And I continue to appreciate you for allocating us reasonable time. Right Honorable Speaker, this is the time for the 11th Parliament to make a statement to this country that we have the capacity to shape the Ministry of Finance and in the way they do work. Right Honorable Speaker, colleagues have concentrated much on how the expenditure side. We need to get back to the revenue side. Right Honorable Speaker, we need to look into how this country earns money. The loopholes are simply too many. Right from exemptions, we don't have a tax register. If we have it, it is very minimal. Right Honorable Speaker, we need to implement our revenue mobilization strategy. What I'm trying to mean, Right Honorable Speaker and the Prime Minister, is that we need to put much more emphasis on the income of this country. Let us close all the linkages. There are simply too many. Money is stolen from the field, but even that comes to the coffers of this government are misused. So let's look at the revenue side too. Honorable colleagues, we are looking at this budget framework paper, but it is highly consumptive. You have 80% spent on wage and non-wage, and only 20% on capital development. How do we sit here to only plan for 20%? So Honorable Musas and your colleagues, go back and allocate more money on capital development. We cannot waste time here to plan for only 20%. You are talking about schools, talking about electricity. Where are you going to get the money? These ones have already allocated the money to, State House, going to buy clothes. We are not going to spend money taking it here. So go back and structure the budget. We need more allocation on, yes, you have 80% on consumptive, and we are here wasting time. We cannot continue to waste time, Right Honorable Speaker, in this house. We need more money. Pay attention to the informal sector. You have failed to educate the informal sector. You are seriously frustrating the private sector, and you come here to convince this house that you have money to distribute. Honorable colleagues, this team has no money. They have no money. We have to create for avenues of ensuring that we get more money. I have a strategy, Right Honorable Speaker. Let's get back and structure this budget framework paper. We need to reduce on the 80% of consumptive back to 65%. Create a more provision of 15%, or else we are here joking. Honorable Musas and colleagues, go back and concentrate. We cannot sit here to waste taxpayers' money and time. You are going to ask for the schools, you are going to ask for hospitals, but you don't have provisions of where to get the money. Lastly, Right Honorable Speaker, is fairness in distribution of government resources. We have idle investments. You put poles of electricity for campaigns. Since 2019, the poles are scattered everywhere. You cannot put wires. Now you're creating more areas of electric.
Thank you. Honorable Kabusu Moses. Kabusu. The name I have on the list is Kabusu.
Mr. Speaker, thank you. Mr. Speaker, I also raised to support both the majority and the minority report. However, Mr. Speaker, like Honorable Keyo said, the budget allocated to Ministry of Agriculture in most cases does not address the fisheries resources, and it is a sleeping giant unexplored. I want to call upon government, Minister of Finance, to liaise with Minister of Agriculture. Every other time they appear, they tell us they do not have the budget. We hear of agriculture support to animal husbandry and crop. Our fishing communities also require that they be addressed. A comprehensive approach that will also bring on board the fishermen, whether they capture fishers or the ones that rear fish, can raise income like Honorable Namuga has been saying to the economy. Mr. Speaker, we also, in the budget, must address the issue of water transport. Water transport, Mr. Speaker, I want to give an example of a space between Gaba and Ebule along Gaba Road can decongest Jinja Road if there was a vessel that joins Mukono and Gaba. This route would be decongested and people would join the Nyenga route. There are many other routes that are shorter on the water bodies here, but government does less about developing water transport. Needless to mention about the songs we have been making about water transport to the distant island constituencies. Government should, if we are not able in our budget, they should give incentives to investors from nearby countries who have been to Tanzania and Kenya, where the private sector has these vessels. They should give them incentives to come and operate on our waters such that we have safe transport on our water bodies. Mr. Speaker, also an idea I wanted that government adopts. Mr. Speaker, most of our islands do not have schools, primary and secondary schools. For how long, Mr. Speaker, shall our children be raised to become?
Thank you. Martin Mzare, Nekesa Victoria, Mudimi Ignatius.
Thank you, Right Honourable Speaker. I want to begin by thanking the two colleagues who have presented their reports. Right Honorable Speaker, I'll begin with the issue of the ministries. Right Honorable Speaker, if you go right now in the Ministry of Works, you'll find that all the offices are empty. All the workers are not there. You go to energy, the same thing. They are idle. They're only waiting for salary. There is no money for projects. There is no money for activities. What is so funny, Mr. Speaker, is that most of us, after reading the budget, we get excited because your project has been considered in the budget. But as we come to the end of the year, there is nothing. This is what is happening. Right Honorable Speaker, on the issue of domestic areas, we've lamented so much, Right Honorable Speaker, on this. Banks, when you go to borrow, they ask for a credit report on your financial status. And that's the standard. The reason why government is able to respond to external borrowings is because they know they still need money from them. And without financing, they will not be able. Right Honorable Speaker, our people are suffering. People are losing properties. People are crying. Government has failed to respond to domestic areas. The local person who has supplied has not been respected. Right Honorable Speaker, we are the banks here to allow government to borrow. Let's just put a condition. For government to come here and ask for loans, you must come here and show that you've paid the local people who are demanding money. If we put that condition, Right Honorable Speaker, this government here will respond. That's the only condition we should have them. Because it's very unfortunate that a local person who has borrowed little money, he was excited to have a contract from government, he executes it, and at the end, he's losing his properties, and we are just looking on. Government, why are you coming here all the time to borrow? Why don't you consider these local people? They cannot now access money in their banks because their credit report.
Thank you. Honorable Nekesa and Honorable Mudimi.
I thank the Honorable Speaker for the opportunity to say something. I'd also like to thank the committee and for the good report, and I'm here to support the BFP as it is. Honorable Speaker, I'm in support of what has been passed. However, I would like to request to bring the attention of members here, us as a house, that we support what the government is trying to do, especially in getting the economic base wider. Now, right now as we speak, the head of state, our president, is all over Uganda, mobilizing mindset change, mobilizing people to embrace PDM, to embrace all the government strategies so that we can increase on our productivity and production, and we have the economics right from the household to up at the mega level, so we can harness enough economics, enough money, and build up our economy so that at the end of the day, the NDP4 will be the best. We start slow, we build up. So I really thank everybody for the participation, for the report, and the vision of the government. Thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Thank you, Honorable Mudimi.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. Right Honorable Speaker, I want to be guided because when you read 2.3 on page 7, we are looking at the compliance test, where the committee has recommended that the budget framework paper is short of some documents, So they have observed, and they said, the committee observed that the above information has never been provided to Parliament in all previous national budget frameworks. Right Honourable Speaker and members, we are here to make laws and to protect. Now I want to be guided by Minister of Finance and Attorney General. How should we correct this? These are anomalies. We also have issue of contingency fund. It's provided under Section 26 for a certain amount which is not fully provided. At which point should we correct this anomaly? Right Honourable Speaker and members have raised the issue of domestic areas. And when you look at Section 15 of PFMA, commitment of the approved budget, it talks about worker plans, recruitment plans, and so on. And Section 21 of the same law, it said the accounting officers are not supposed to commit government where resources are not. Why are these domestic areas coming? When you read those two, I want Attorney General to guide this House. Because people have lost property. Some, I've seen some contractors. I have a contractor in my place there. They gave him a contract for the road. They have paid him out of 1.4, they have paid him 500 million. He said they have not added him money and he has abandoned it. He said he will not go back. And that's what he told me, frankly, yesterday. He said, I'll not go back. I'm demanding money from UNRWA, I'm demanding money from KCCA, I'm demanding money from WACS. Where do you want me to get money? So now, all whatever it is paid is wasted. Now, are we going to continue losing money in that form? Why government approved budget, Minister of Finance, then at the end, midway, they have changed from suppressing, we used to have a terminology called suppressing, then now they call it repurposing. So why again did you repurpose the budget midway when you have approved worker plan?
Thank you. Edakas Afidra Viraro.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Let me start by just a focus on financing the budget. I think when we look at the items that we plan to spend on, they are all noble items. Wouldn't it be appropriate for us, as we think about the future, to actually have a conversation on how to finance the budget away from just merely looking at tax and borrowing? I think for a long time, we've concentrated on those two, but maybe the minister needs to think about other sources. Our taxable community is exhausted as I speak. If you move around town, you can see that many businesses have failed because we are taxing those same businesses year in, year out. I think we need to think more about how to raise revenue, and I think some thoughts have come in here. On my list here is what other people have said: review the investor tax policy, both locally and those investors coming from abroad. Some of them have outlived their usefulness. I think we need to review and see whether we need to continue exempting them. We need to invest more on tourism. We need to invest more on areas of agriculture. We call ourselves a country, an agricultural country. But what is it that we are known for, except of coffee? So we have those key crops and areas where we're excelling. We should see a lot more money going there. We need to negotiate more space for trading in Africa. And I think there are so many opportunities that we could use to trade with our own within the African continent. If you look at labor remittances, there is over $100 billion out there, dollars, that Africa is competing for to return home. Uganda, since I think 2019, we have not gone beyond 1.4 billion. If you compare us with Nigeria every year from foreign remittances, they're getting up to $20 billion. If you go to Dubai here and you witness the influx of Ugandans working there, If you compare them with Nigerians, almost the same numbers, but we're not fetching enough from our workers abroad. And I think the proposals here of paying attention to commercial attaches and destination representatives would be key. So we should see ourselves financing those if we want to see more revenue coming in. We need to push the corrupt out of this country. I think that has been said. We discover corruption, but we do very little about punishing the corrupt. If we were saving money from the corrupt, we'd be able to finance what we today call
Afidra Biraro Achan Joyce.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. I want to applaud my chairperson and Honorable Semuju for presenting the views from both sides. Right Honorable Speaker, I want to first start with Article 32 of the 1995 Constitution as amended. I want to read it as affirmative. That the state shall provide affirmative action in favor of groups marginalized on the basis of gender, age, disability, or any other reason created by history, tradition, or custom for the purpose of redressing imbalances which exist against them. I want to thank my government for, to some extent, addressing this specific constitutional right. We know in this house we have affirmative actions being represented. The women are here, the disabled are here, the age limit has been removed, but there's one critical thing which, in my view, the budget should address. That is imbalances created by the history. And what is this history about? The marginalized community we have in this. History has taught it in all the indicators we have in this country. The education indicators, PLE, when it comes out. There are regions in this country well know from history that they will be performing last. This includes Karamoja, West Nile, and in particular my district. In the last PLE, Obongi, Madiokolo, Lamore, and is it Lamore? They are consistent regions. In my view, these regions have been marginalized. For us as parliament to improve them, to bring them to equity to other regions, we need a reflection in the BFP. To what extent has this budget addressed this imbalance in education performance? I will cite more, Right Honorable Speaker. In my district, Madiokolo, we have 1,700 teachers required to teach in 78 primary schools. But as we talk now, we only have 600, a ratio of 1 teacher to 250 people. How can this community continue to thrive if they are not being marginalized over time? Therefore, I would like to see this reflection, this being addressed across all the marginalized community reflected in the budget. The second issue is, Right Honorable Speaker, all of us have come here for this budget and the cake. It is a national cake. My district, my constituents want to see what is it in this budget shall be going back to my constituents. And this can come if the BFP, to some extent, can be broken down into different regions, especially the development bit. It will be to our surprise, or not to our surprise, at the end of next.
Thank you. Biraro Achan Yanyima. Achan, Joyce Achan, Nathan Byanyima, Stella Young, Natkunda Medias, Rinda.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. Right Honorable Speaker, I have observed the report, and I would say the report is good. However, Right Honorable Speaker, Ministry of Gender has not been allocated this additional funding. Right Honorable Speaker, Ministry of Gender is a ministry that is directly attached with the community down. And this is the ministry that our people with disabilities falls. Right Honorable Speaker, in 2021, His Excellency the President promised us that all the rehabilitation centers will be revamped through Ministry of Gender. And when it is revamped, it will be manufacturing the assistive devices so that we can stop importing them from outside. But I'm seeing that there is no budget line for that. Right Honorable Speaker, when you look at the remand homes all over Uganda, they are in a sorry state. One example is just in here near Naguru. If you go there and you see the condition under which these children live is so terrible. Right Honorable Speaker, I also speak about I think I'm done, sorry.
Thank you. Honorable Nathan Byanyima, Honorable Stella Tiangaf.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. And I must thank the chairperson, but most important, I must thank the Honorable Semuju, because he was realistic. When we talk about this budget, as one of my colleagues have said, each member is looking for what do I take for my constituency. You will never get it, not until we have had practical people. These members of National Planning Authority, they have never gone into this country to know what is happening. They are just in office, copy and paste. They said National Planning Authority, Plan 3 performed 16%. 16%. If you had a student who performed and got 16%, would you promote him? No. And you are moving now promoting it for National Planning, for National Plan 4. What type of arrangement did we have? The way we are, one time we were in this parliament, we said, let's not stop lamenting about money, 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 money. Let's look for sources of money. And we said, let's put more money on fuel. Because people who have vehicles have the money. They must pay. We put 200 shillings on each liter, above the normal excise duty on fuel, which the government is entitled. Still the money, they took it. It was supposed to be for road maintenance. They took it. So, even now, currently, even if you added 300 things on a liter of fuel, if I ask a member of parliament here, how much is a liter of diesel or petrol? None of you know, because you just park, they put in fuel, and you have the money. Nothing you don't know, but we can pay it. We can pay it. One time we came here and said, how much is the passport? It was 50,000. And it was, they would pay money from the head office, immigration office. But we said, no, let it make it much higher. And we get some money. How much do we get? That immigration is now a cow that we make every day at 150. Even if you put at 300,000 shillings, people will pay it. Let's look for sources. We used to get license money for vehicles. Each owner of the vehicle would pay money. We said, no, we don't. Now, this is the time for us to tighten the belts because we have nowhere to get the money. We cannot continue saying finance should get more money for this and that. Where do they get the money? Let us think, put our net widely and see where the sources of money can come from. And most importantly, ensure that the money is...
Thank you, Honorable.
And thank
Honorable
you.
Stella.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker, for giving me this opportunity. I also want to join the rest of my colleagues to thank the committee for the comprehensive report that they gave. I also want to thank Honorable Semuju for the positive input that he put in the budget report. Honorable Chair, I want to comment on the budget for Ministry of Karamoja. Ministry of Karamoja has been allocated 3 billion shillings, which is almost only wage, meaning that it will not have funds to run its activities. It also means that the staff that are employed in the ministry will actually be earning salary and sitting idle in offices. Yet, the ministry has a lot of important activities in terms of promoting productivity by putting money in water for production for the region. As we all know that Karamoja needs water for production, in order to increase food in the region. Honorable Speaker, I also want to comment on wasteful expenditures in government. Honorable Speaker, a case in point is actually the oxygen plant and the ICU plant that was purchased by the Ministry of Health and taken to Moroto Referral Hospital and dumped outside. And at the end of the day, they were affected by the harsh weather conditions, destroying the equipment before it's put in use. Honorable Speaker, this is a result of poor planning and careless actions by the employees of government that has led this government to perform poorly and also keep on moving back and forth in terms of service delivery in this country. These are some of the things the responsible ministries should be looking at in terms of holding accountable the officers that lead to the loss of resources to government by ensuring even that they give them harsh punishment in terms of paying what they lost, they led to be lost by government. This will actually help our officers or our employees to be responsible when they are planning for this country.
Thank you, Honorable Medias.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. I'll speak on the agriculture sector, especially on the water for production component. In the report, I can see that they have provided some funds for irrigation schemes, especially for water-stressed areas, so that we can increase productivity, which I agree to, and I agree with that. However, Right Honorable Speaker, in the year 2020, in Rukunjiri district, which I thank the government for, they gave us 3 irrigation schemes in Garuka, Kahimbi, and Nyakabungo, which are in Bwambara sub-county. Since that year, only one of them has been able to function for just a month, that is Garuka. The other 2 have never functioned at all. Much as I agree to the fact that we allocate funds for the irrigation schemes in water-stretched areas, why can't we also get money to repair these irrigation schemes that have never worked at all? At least let there be funds so that we relieve the people. It is so embarrassing for people to always pass by those sites. They see machines, they see everything, but nothing is going on. So I would request the finance to also get money to repair these irrigation schemes so that they can work. Also on water for production, the report says that they are going to make sure that all water-stressed areas get solar-powered boreholes, which is a good idea, and also I see that we are moving in relation to new technology. However, I would like to know if we have failed to manage the manually boreholes that we have. Some are beyond repair, that cannot be repaired at all. Now we are bringing in solar-powered boreholes for these areas. How sure are we that they will be working, they will be sustainable? Are we not also going to see members of parliament also repairing these solar-powered boreholes? I would implore the budget and the finance ministry to make sure, to find a way how these manually boreholes that we've seen that cannot work, there should be a solution to that before we implement the new technology of solar powered boreholes. This would relieve our people, especially the women and children who walk long ways to find water, clean and safe water for both home and agricultural use. I thank you.
Thank you. Honorable Linda, Honorable Parrot Christine, Honorable Kara Kevin, Honorable Wambede says.
Thank you, Speaker. My point of concern is under physical infrastructure. Mr. Speaker, we created 10 new cities. And as government, we are supposed to support these cities with a road unit. But up to now, even in this BFP, the road unit for the new cities has not been provided. Yet as a city, we also receive funds for rehabilitation grant. And we have to wait for districts to first complete work on their roads. Then afterwards, we borrow we borrow their road unit. And then this means we have first to service the road unit. Sometimes you find when the road units are not working well, we have to repair them, and we find all our money for rehabilitation grant sometimes goes to servicing and repairing the road unit for the neighboring districts. Another point, Mr. Speaker, sir, is the issue of Buhinga Stadium. This is a pledge, a presidential pledge, where the president pledged that the government was going to construct Buhinga and Akibua Stadium. Akibua Stadium, they've started on it. But up to today, Minister of Finance has not provided funds for Buhinga Stadium. The third one, Mr. Speaker, sir, is on our regional referral hospital. Mr. Speaker, sir, up to today, when we look at the staffing rate of our regional referral hospital is at 23%. We don't have an orthopedic surgeon, we don't have an ENT consultant and other key medical personnel. Up to now, the referral hospital is referring patients to Kilembe Hospital, which is a private hospital, which is a shame. My prayer, Mr. Speaker, sir, is that Ministry of Finance should provide money for wage bill so that Ministry of Health can recruit crucial medical personnel so that referral hospitals are able to provide services. And lastly, Mr. Speaker, sir, is on retooling and supporting the youth who have been equipped in vocational skills. These youth have been left to go back to the villages. They need to be given a startup fund so that they are able to create their own employment, and in the end, government will also be able to increase its tax base. Thank you.
Thank you. Kumi Parisa.
Thank you very much, Right Honourable Speaker. I rise to second the approval of the budget framework paper, but with these observations, Right Honourable. First of all, I thank the committee chair and the minority report that was presented. Mr. Speaker, the aspect of the 1 billion for districts to establish the district headquarters should actually be prioritized. Alongside that, Mr. Speaker, we also have sub-counties in districts without administrative units. And I want to implore the Ministry of Finance to make this a priority. An example in my area is Tisai, Mr. Speaker. It's a newly created sub-county. It is across the lake, but there is no administrative headquarters, no primary school, no health facility. How I pray that at least in the financial year 2025-2026, let something be done in that connection. Mr. Speaker, granting schools, we have so many communities. That is why masses are that where there are secondary schools, primary schools, and the rest. There are particular districts really dominating. At least if my district is not there for secondary, I should be captured in the primary. If I'm not in the primary, secondary, at least I should have a health facility. So that these resources of government cut across all the voters of this country. Mr. Speaker, on health supplies, I don't know whether the ministry really respects the orders made by the health facilities. And now, when we look at supplies like X-rays, Mr. Speaker, I've raised this on the floor of Parliament several times, the X-ray machine for Tutur. The ministry promised to give us a new X-ray machine. Up to date, it is not there. I pray that as we look into the budget of 2025-2026, let the X-ray machine, a new one as it was pledged, let it be provided for Atutur Hospital. And Right Honourable, the issue of duplication of services is also critical. Like we talked about roads. Why would we talk about roads under Ministry of Local Government, under Ministry of Works, under what, and it's the same activity? As we are struggling with the high debt burden in the country, let us all unite and actually ensure that we avoid this. If we are talking about roads, let it remain there. Like now when I heard that the army is also asking money for monitoring elections, and the committee is saying it is the mandate of the police, let it be one word.
Thank you. Honorable, that's why I was insisting that they must bring an amendment to the law so that we can realign. Here we have programs, and we find all of them are under programs. They are not scattered under sector committees. That would be the only way out. Honorable Kala, Honorable Wambede, Honorable Kibadia, Honorable Timugiwe.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. I also want to join rest of the members for thanking Chair Budget, and also thanking Honorable Semuju for his minority report. Right Honorable Speaker, I also want to speak on the sector of health and agriculture. It's unfortunate that the sector of health has not been considered so much, bearing in mind that health is wealth. When you have health, you have wealth. I want to bring to attention of this House Key Point Palliser District. As we speak, Right Honorable Speaker, right now, our hospital, the district hospital, is a hospital of post-independence. The structures, the infrastructure has never been renovated. As I speak right now, Right Honorable Speaker, our hospital wards, people are sharing, both male, female, children. There's a lot of congestion in the hospital. Palliser District is neighboring several districts, like District of Mora, Kumi here, Butebo, Kibuku, and also part of Kamuli. They all come to Palliser District. It's too congested. People are sleeping on the floor. There are no beds. So I want to urge Minister of Finance to consider us during this budgeting process to at least try to see that you construct for us new buildings. We have a unit for sickle cells. They meet under a shed every Tuesday. And there are so many. As I speak right now, because of the accumulated water bills, the hospital cannot even afford to pay for water bills. We don't have running water in the hospital.
Wambede Kibadia.
All right, Honorable Speaker, I thank you for this opportunity to comment on the budget framework paper. Let me start with electricity. That's means of energy. We're emphasizing science, technology. I don't know how we shall reach that level. The rural electrification, it seems, has met its death. We borrowed money from World Bank. 2 years down the road, the government has no commitment fee to it. This financial year, there is no money for rural electrification. What a planning by government. As if it's not enough, the same Minister of Energy, 2 years down the road, they took us at a supersonic speed. I belong to Natural Resource Committee. Under supersonic speed, you must pass the mining bill. We passed it into a law. Until today, nothing. I don't know how Honorable Sasizi prioritizes the mineral sector. And yet that's the sector which can bring in a lot of money. So last year when I read off the board, I don't know whether it has started, but 2 years down the road, there is nothing. How shall we raise the money? How? Climate change is a real fact. And here we have NEMA and Ministry of Water, which helps us. But when you look at the budget of NEMA, it was cut by 3/4. Then you ask yourself, how shall we manage to protect the environment? NEMA keeps demanding for money. They said there's no money. Even the little that they were given last year, it has been chopped. Then you ask yourself, where are we moving? Come to wasteful expenditures. Mr. Speaker, we had the Ministry of Science and Technology. It operated for about 2 years. It formed itself into a secretariat under State House. And through that,
thank you, Honorable Kivadia. Honorable Isaac Temugiu after.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. Right Honorable Speaker, I associate myself with the colleagues who have thanked the committee. I hope this time the committee will not be a scene of crime. Right Honorable Speaker, you talked about vending licenses. Right Honorable Speaker, in Busoga there is a mirror who has 7 licenses. You wonder how he got them and what they are going to do. So as you mentioned, something must be done. Right Honorable Speaker, the issue of unfunded priorities. How can an item remain unfunded for 5 years, appearing every time among the unfunded priorities, Right Honorable Speaker? We must have maybe a law somewhere that if an item appears for 3 times, what is very interesting, Right Honorable, an item can appear among the ones to be funded this year, and the next year, the 3rd year, it becomes unfunded. But it remains there. So, Right Honorable Speaker, we must stop this joke and have something serious and more tough in that line and have a law. In the same spirit, Right Honorable Speaker, as the President said, we must help him about UPE. Right Honorable Speaker, my colleagues talked about arts teachers. We are tired of seeing these cartoons in papers where one teacher is eating chicken and rice, another is eating cassava. One is sleeping in a big house, another one is sleeping in grassland. Another one is driving a Benz, another one is walking. Right Honorable Speaker, we must do something about arts teachers. It has become the song during burial. When an arts teacher gets space to speak, he will speak about Parliament not helping. Parliament not doing anything. Right Honorable Speaker, I pray and request that as we prepare this budget for this year, Right Honorable Speaker, let's do something, some increment, some money for the arts teachers. Right Honorable Speaker, Busoga University. Honorable Peter Gwanga has just left the region, promised about Busoga University. In 2019, Right Honorable Speaker, I attended a meeting where Bunyoro University and Busoga University we are discussed, and they told us that they were beginning with the Bunyoro University the following year, then Busoga University comes in place. These are 5 years down the road. Busoga University now is just looking for a vote. Right Honorable Speaker, I must do something about that. Blood bank in Jinja. Right Honorable Speaker, during COVID, when the Prime Minister was still Dr. Wakana Rugunda, he promised and he said they were going to do something about the Jinja Referral Hospital and we are going to get a blood bank. Right Honorable Speaker, I don't know where we are, the position and what is happening. Right Honorable Speaker, power. On the Committee of National Economy, Right Honorable Speaker, we are...
Thank you. Otimugeu, Ayume, Okotamus.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker, and I thank the committee chair for the report. Right Honorable Speaker, in the last budget reading of 2023-2024, agro-industrialization, tourism, and mineral development were the sectors actually pointed out in propelling our economy to the $500 billion in the target of 2040. But for some instance, in our indications right now in this budget framework paper, all the factors, the sectors which are supposed to propel us to that area have actually been cut, or underfunded. For example, mineral development, which we allocated 46.1 billion in the previous financial year, has been allocated 0 this time. Mindset change, which was allocated 69.3 billion in the previous financial year, has been allocated 0 with PDM. The tourism sector to get a lot of money from oil. The petroleum development, we allocated 835 billion in the previous financial year. This financial year, 0. So how are we going to achieve the target that we are actually moving at? Even manufacturing, we allocated 318 billion. It has been cut to 226 billion. We have industrial parks, even in West Nile, which were allocated. They are all there as skeletons. Nothing is being put, and we are cutting budgets in manufacturing. Right Honorable Speaker, I would like to point out something little on health. A number of colleagues have spoken about the Cancer Institute. The Cancer Institute is indeed facing a dire need. But the problem is, we are the only country which are actually adhering to the East African legislation in terms of community. Everybody, regardless whether you're a non-Ugandan, you walk in the Cancer Institute and you'll be given free medication, which is expensive. We budget for Ugandans, but they cannot deny foreigners to get free medication. And that is why Cancer Institute is always getting packed. We cannot stop them. So we as parliament legislators need to guide them on that aspect. And on the issue of non-tax revenue, Right Honorable Speaker, we have a number of sectors in the health sectors which are begging the Minister of Finance to increase their NTR ceilings. The Uganda Women Center Hospital, they actually raise almost 6 billion every financial year. They are requesting that their target be increased, but the same minister are denying them to increase those targets. So how can we generate income in those issues? On the
Thank you. Are you May or God?
Thank you, Right Honorable. Right Honorable, as a Christian, Right Honorable, I believe in God the Father and the Holy Spirit and the Son. But, Right Honorable, I also believe in Mulago Hospital. Whenever I fall sick, that is where I go. But we seem to not be investing a lot in the hospital. And that 15.5 billion shillings has been an unfunded priority for the last 3 financial years. However, even with the current condition, Mulago gives us 5.5 billion in non-tax revenue. So the whole of the 6th floor, which was designed to be private wing services, I was there one time. As the chair of a health committee, they had to bring for me water in a basin. And because there's no running water. But if we fix all these, then there's no reason why Ugandans will go to private hospitals. We can even take the revenue from there to about 20 billion shillings. My colleague has mentioned about the Women's Specialized Hospital. If we put it up to its capacity, another 20 billion shillings. Medical tourism, I would have expected that to be in the NDP 4. I raised it. Uganda is centrally positioned in a neighborhood where we are competitive over our neighbors. And if we brought Mulago to speed, Cancer Institute to speed, we are building a new heart hospital in Naguru. UPDF is about to finish their hospital. We have Aga Khan in Nakawa. All these, we need to tap into sources for domestic revenue, because we have seen people going to Nairobi for PET scans at $1,000, but we should be able to keep that here. Finally, Right Honorable Speaker, I had forgotten Lubowa is also progressively coming on board. But Right Honorable Speaker, the issue of tax exemption for gym equipment and sports equipment, we are looking at these as luxury commodities, but I think now we need to look at them as public health commodities, so that we would be able to curtail the exodus of people going with NCDs to our hospitals. These night football pitches that are mushrooming all over Kampala and upcountry, how do we ensure that the carpets, the artificial turf they import is tax-free, so that our youth can be kept physically fit but also out of crime? Thank you very much, Right Honorable Speaker. And I would like to support my colleague that Atutur Hospital needs an X-ray as soon as yesterday, Bundibujo Hospital, and of course Koboko Hospital. Those three should be given urgent priority.
Thank you. Honorable, you've talked about those artificial turfs. I've just remembered something I wanted to share with Finance and Attorney General. Finance and Attorney General. You see, we've not had money to develop sports facilities, most of these sports facilities. So some are making some little money from memberships, trying to attract memberships to maintain even what had been put in place. But I was at Entebbe Golf Club, and the manager shared with me that URA wants to now tax membership fees. Okay? Membership fees for clubs which are struggling. Their budgets are very minimal. We are not financing them, but we are just even going for those membership fees. I know we are looking for money, but I mean, and Honorable Minister, I had also raised this about KCCA, and I want to interest the committee chair on presidential affairs. KCCA, I think we are among a few cities that have 150 acres of green space in the middle of the city. That is Kampala Golf Club here. But what do? We channel sewage. We channel all these floods from Yusufurule. They are channeled into that green space. Now, that's a green space we should protect and invest in. You know, we have guests. Someone said, you are so lucky to have over 150 acres in the middle of the city. We should invest in and protect it. It should be one of those things we should even be promoting for our tourism. Tell me a city that has 150 acres in the middle, and then you just channel sewage and floods in it, and then members start raising some little money to maintain it. You're also coming for it with a tax. Okay? I mean, you just ask yourself. So I had interested the committee chair when you're engaging with KCCA to ensure KCCA supports that golf club so that it remains very clean. That's where all our ambassadors whom we want to market Uganda, that's where they pray from. All people who contribute a lot on your tax, CEOs and what, that's where they go. But they are moving around sewage, a human fecal, just moving. And this is an ambassador I wanted to come and visit Kampala. So these are things we can, and it's not a lot of money. These are things we should look at really and give priority. So Minister for Finance, when you hear us running to you to help protect that green space, like 2 billion would do a great job, but it can do a lot for this city in terms of maintaining it. So I had picked Honorable Okot, Honorable Kwizera, Honorable Didi Boka, Honorable Grania.
Thank you, Mr.
Colleagues, if you didn't write your name here, stop looking at me and trying to make signs. Oh no, but why I would guide you, you ask from your neighbor, because I saw you when you were coming. Ask your neighbor before you came, what did we do? Then it will make it very easy. Yeah. People who are for ranch, you've enjoyed your ranch. For us, we've not enjoyed it. So let us also enjoy our time here as you enjoyed your ranch.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, before I make a small comment about National Budget Framework Paper and Ministerial Policy Statement, what we are considering is going to help us in the budget of 2025-26. However, just like one of us was saying, we represent constituencies. For the last time that we started this parliament, the 11th parliament, we have ever been moving and asking for a support, as if we are supposed to do the lobbying. But all in all, this is a service that the government should give to the people. The people of Kalon town councils, it is a town council, but they lack L Center. 3, just L Center 3. And then Agago North County,
we lack health center 4. In this debate, I would urge that we should support Minister of Health so that at least they should consider giving us Health Center 3 in Kalao Town Council, and then Health Center 4 in Agago North County. Mr. Speaker, in the similar vein, I also would request in this so that we also support Minister of Local Government. Agago North County somehow is a bit unique. We have a different challenges that cannot be compared with other counties in Acholi sub-region. And because of that, many of our people are still in IDPs, including our animals and cattle. But all along, we have been saying, now that we have that unique challenges, we should create for us, and we have a new administrative unit. That's Agago North County. This will only come if we support you. My request is that in this process that we are looking into the budget, maybe bring this on board so that at least, if not, you can consider other administrative unit, then remember Agago North County to have a district status. Mr. Speaker, I was trying to see the relevancy of budget framework papers and ministerial policy statements. It is as if this thing we are running with a very narrow gap, and yet ministerial policy statement help us to examine and to evaluate the performance of government before we go into looking in deeply into the budget. What we are considering, and when you look at those things, we got a very big challenge from the SESBAC. They asked us about the relevancy of this. And in a way, all the committee members could not even explain. We are supposed to consider, I personally would think, if we could have to examine this closely.
Thank you. Honorable Itungo, Honorable Kwizera, Honorable Boka Didi, Honorable Grania. Honorable Cuthbert, did you register? You were about. Yeah, then you wait. You're still about.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. Right Honorable Speaker, it's unfortunate the Minister of Finance is not here. Colleagues, the gentleman, Honorable Musazi, he has been here as a member of Parliament. He knows what we go through as members of Parliament. He has been a member, a chair of finance. He has been here in these budget processes. All these issues we are raising, Honorable Musazi knows. I think the problem is not Musaza's finance. The problem is the Minister of Planning. Who is planning in the Minister of Finance? Now, if you are the planner, as a minister, listen to this. You know the mass line of NRM, Bonabasume, UPE, USE. Every kid is going to school. Why do you cut budgets for education? Where do you want these children to go? Why are you limiting recruitment for teachers? And you don't know the number has increased. Why don't you have schools in the budget? So what kind of planning is this? This is the problem. So if you are the Minister for Planning, then you need to go back to school and plan. And Musa is a student of BCom. He knows what we are talking about. This is his playground. He knows. So be clear. You tell us the truth. What is the problem? Then finally, the sources of money. I sit on the committee of COSASE, where Rope was my chair. You move around town here. All the billboards you see, all the screens you see in town, there is no screen that pays tax. They don't collect any money from these billboards. He's here, he knows. They are chasing grasshopper hawkers, and the money is in the billboards and the screens. Musas knows. So, Honorable Musas. Honorable Musas. Right Honorable Speaker was questioning about taxing the golf clubs. I want to inform you that all the gyms around town here, they pay taxes. They close them day and night. So you are worried about golf. Golf has some people who can afford to pay. These gyms are for 5,000, these 3,000, these 10,000. This man collects taxes from those gyms. So what are you doing? So I think Musazi should thank you. Let me give information.
But you don't have time. You see, you only give what you have. Your time was already up. No, only the clarification I was making was simple. That these clubs, okay, they don't even make money. In fact, golf clubs all over the world don't make money. But they protect the area. You go to Fort Portal, the green space. You go to Arua. They are the only ones. You go to Mbarara. You come here in Kampala. Go to Entebbe. I played golf with the Speaker of Singapore. The man, he was like, I really can't believe it. I'm next to a zoo, you know. This is a zoo. I'm in a very green area. The oldest club in East Africa, Tororo. So, but in the end, if you don't even support them to be maintained, that's how they will be stored, like the one of Guru. That's how the one, the one of Guru, they didn't see any value, they shared it, and they built houses, okay? Even Rira. Yeah, you're going to lose them. Now, they are being protected using the little money that comes from members. If you go for it also, that you're taxing it and all that, then you're taxing the land and it will be gone. That's it. And these clubs, you'll be nowhere because you don't budget for them. They are held in trust by the public. It's protecting it. Honorable Kwizera was next, then Boka Didi, then Grania, then Angura, then Nangori, then Komakech, then Norman Ochero, then Wandwasi, Dr. Kamara.
Right, Honorable Speaker, thank you very much. And I want to thank you for the stamina you have, because it is rare for Parliament to sit the whole. We appreciate. Honorable members, the issue we have is that there is non-compliance to the Constitution, and there is to an extent where the original, I have an original voice like other members of Parliament to talk for their people, for government to listen and implement. Because there is no way government can go to Buchimbiri County without passing through me or without me taking them. But the problem we have is that the Minister of Finance and the government needs to be begged to do their constitutional obligation, which is bad. My duty as a member of Parliament is to tell you what is happening down there, and you put it in your planning. But when you find that the person planning is the person supposed to mobilize resources, there is a conflict of interest. That's why we are now finding a national development plan owned by Minister of Finance, budget framework by Minister of Finance. There is an inherent dictatorship by Minister of Finance, and they subdue the sectors because they maintain indicative figures and realistic figures. That's why you find that even the budget, even when they have said we are going to release so much, what they have released is not warranted. So when you find a country having a budget, when you look at the analysis of 72 trillion in this running budget, and then you come in the coming year, you find it is 57. The Minister of Finance should be able to tell us, what is the problem? Is the economy shrinking? What is the problem? We demand an explanation. Why the economy, instead of enhanced debate, economic performance, now we are going down from 72 trillion now to 57 trillion. Contrary to what is provided for in the National Development Plan. Another issue, isn't this related to non-payment of arrears to our traders? Because ordinarily, if the traders have supplied the government and they are supposed to pay tax, tax is not paid. If you don't pay, you don't collect tax. Has the minister now presented to this parliament how many people are demanding money? Not public debt, but domestic arrears. How many are demanding? Because they now promote the economy. But when the minister comes here and talks about the public debt, he doesn't talk about domestic. It means the minister is not fair to us. He's serving the interests of the foreign people who have given us money, but not the local Ugandan who has actually financed the running of government. So I would think that even in realistic budgeting.
Thank you. Now, Honorable colleagues, before Honorable Boka comes, beyond the ones I read, who are colleagues that want to submit? Can you stand up? I see. Wow. Now, let's make a deal, okay? Let's make a deal of 2 minutes. I try to see, because you see, this is a critical day for members where they usually say they were discussing the budget, you never raised our issues and all that. That's why I try to start at 10. And now, Honorable Samba, you can understand why I was insisting we go for the debate. This is a very critical day for members. So let's do 2 minutes each. Quickly. I try to see how many we can accommodate. Okay?
Yeah, thank you, Honorable Speaker, for giving me the time. Let me start with the 2 observations. Apart from looking at the NDP4 and the Public Finance Management Act compliance, we are in the 5th year of the manifesto of the ruling party securing our future, as well as the Equal Opportunities Commission that raises glaring regional and local inequities that this budget framework paper needs to speak to. I want to start with the health sub-program. Our 46 million Ugandans suffer from communicable and non-communicable diseases that can be addressed through community health interventions. We have a national community health strategy that requires a budget that has not been provided for in this budget framework paper, for identifying community health extension workers, skilling them, tooling them, and facilitating them to be able to address the simple diseases that affect our people. 2, our diagnostics, especially the laboratories, have been relying more on supplies that are provided by partners. They have withdrawn this budget. We needed money to buy screening kits, malaria test kits, HIV test kits, and so on and so forth, that have not been provided in this budget. 3, many of our constituencies missed in getting ambulances for referrals, which we thought in this budget framework paper would be provided for. Unfortunately, this has not been considered. Coming to the districts without hospitals who have... Thank you.
Yeah. Honorable Grania, then Honorable Angura.
Thank you very much, Right Honorable Speaker. Allow me to also thank the chairperson of the Budget Committee and Honorable Semuju for the reports presented today, Right Honorable. Right Honorable Speaker, His Excellency the President has always alluded to the fact that the agriculture sector in Uganda is the backbone for our economy. However, Right Honorable Speaker, I want to believe, like anybody else, that it is a health body and a health mind that can be productive in the agriculture sector. Right Honorable Speaker, when you look at a number of referral hospitals and the health sector at large, you see so many unfunded priorities as indicated in the gaps in that line. Right Honorable Speaker, we have so many structures that have been started on in health but have not been completed. For example, we have a very big facility in Mubende Regional Referral Hospital that has just been put up and is yet to be commissioned, but it has no equipment, Right Honorable, so it cannot serve the purpose for which the funds were secured. In that line, Right Honorable, I can also speak about sub-counties that do not have health center 3s in order to relieve the congestion at the regional referral hospital, yet so many districts around us use it in addition to those that are supposed to be served by the regional referral hospital. In the same vein, Right Honorable Speaker, I hope, Right Honorable Speaker, you will add me a minute to speak about agriculture as a deputy chair.
No.
Let me go right away to the agriculture sector. Right Honorable Speaker, when you look at the funding gaps indicated in the agriculture sector, we see that there were no funds secured for coffee production and the other activities accompanying that amidst the RAPEX that we did, Right Honorable. Right Honorable Speaker, when you look at the...
Thank you. Honorable Angura, then Honorable Nangori.
Thank you very much, Right Honorable Speaker. Right Honorable Speaker, I want to interest myself into agro-industrialization and look at value addition and processing. This is a sector that, if well taken care of, can transform us, transform our communities, because it will involve everyone, especially where value addition and processing is involved. However, Right Honorable Speaker, you look at the gaps that are in the energy sector. For sustainable energy, this time we have only allocated, as far as the indicative figures are concerned, 21 billion shillings. And in that 21 billion shillings, there are about 4 sectors, 4 to 5 components in the ministry. And when you look at rural electrification, it might end up with about 2 billion shillings. How are we going to transform and get this country into value addition if we cannot scale up on that? And even when you look at consideration for hard to reach areas, which would have benefited from projects like Orio, which is supposed to be in Mitoma, as among others. We have funding that has been secured from development partners. Groundbreaking is going to take place, but we have a funding gap as far as counterpart funding. That needs about 17 billion shillings. And this is for hard to reach areas. When are we going to get the country balanced if we cannot provide such resources to get those areas that also need to be brought up to benefit? Solar has so far, in the meantime, given us leverage. But solar, they also need funding of about 3.7 to promote the best solutions that are available so far. So we need to look at these options such that we can be able to support our people to move on. Ministry of Local Government has secured some funds in form of grants. And this
Nangori, Komakech.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I have about 2 issues that I've observed. One is about revenue mobilization strategy. How do we help the tax body to ensure that it widens its tax base? Mr. Speaker, there's a very big issue, especially on the issue of investors. Investors are given tax holidays. They are given tax incentives. They are not paying taxes. Actually, most of the investors here, about 80%, are not paying taxes. But you'll find when you go to Kenya, you go to Rwanda, they are investing elsewhere else. They are getting money here, but when you go to other countries, these investors are investing seriously in some other countries, and yet they are getting money from here. The second issue, Mr. Speaker, is about science-based curriculum. Mr. Speaker, I happen to have moved in some of the schools, government-aided schools in my constituency. And Mr. Speaker, as we promote science-based curriculum, most of these schools, Mr. Speaker, if you move around, the laboratory equipments are alarming. Actually, most of them, they don't have laboratory equipment, and yet they have science teachers who are earning 48 million per year. They don't have even science equipment. They have even science teachers and IC teachers on the payroll who don't even have a computer in the school. And they want to teach ICT. How will they teach ICT when they don't have computers? So as we budget in this national budget framework paper, we should put these things in consideration, because it's like we are budgeting for something that we do not understand. And yet these science teachers have been increased their pay, and that's why you see, Mr. Speaker, there's a very big cohesion between arts teachers and science teachers. Arts teachers are doing their job, they are not refusing to teach. But the science teachers who are being paid, they don't even have equipment to use to teach the science students. Even labs don't have equipment.
Thank you. Honorable Komakech, then Honorable Norman Ochero.
Right Honorable Speaker, thank you so much. Right Honorable Speaker, we need to have a human face as we come up with this budget, especially to the mentally sick in our country. We have 14 million Ugandans who are mentally sick. Butabika currently is housing 7,000 mentally sick patients. Right Honorable Speaker, I want to interest you with the budget that we are presenting today. We have 5 billion allocated for construction of perimeter wall in Butabika, well knowing that to treat a mentally sick patient is not by institutionalization. Butabika is not a prison. A mentally sick person is better treated at home. We have 5 billion catered for clothing and bedding mentally sick. These people have beds at home. We have only 1.8 billion to cater for modern medication, specialized medication, 1.8 billion. In Aru currently, I have children whose teeth is falling off. Their eyes are yellow because they are on typical antipsychotics. These are drugs that were initially manufactured in 1900, and that is what our government can provide to them. But they are atypical antipsychotics, where a child takes, gets relieved, and does not look like a zombie. Where is the human face to the children that we bore? It might not be your child today, but tomorrow it will hurt for you to pay a tablet at 50,000 shillings. And these drugs are not readily available. Right Honorable Speaker, as I take my rest, I only beg, Right Honorable Speaker, that let this budget be a gift to the...
Thank you. Now, Chairman, Committee on Health. Who is the Chairman? Committee on Health. I think this is an area where we should pick special interest. This is an area, because if we are providing money for perimeter walls, money for what, and yet these people can be helped with modern treatment and they remain home, they be even treated in their homes. I think it's very, very critical that we look into it. And government, so Committee on Health, I request you to interact. You don't need to report back here. You can use it when you're making your own report, okay? Processing the ministerial policy statement. Interact with the Ministry of Health, and you look at, because when a member says the medicine we are giving is outdated, 1900, and it's causing problems onto our people, we can't just take it for granted, okay? You call Honorable Komakech, comes, he present, and we bring in the ministry. We see how we can update the services that we are giving to our people of mental health. That one I will follow up with you, Chairman. Please take it seriously.
Mr. Speaker, thank you. I thank the committee and my brother, Honorable Semuju, for the wonderful work. Because of time, Mr. Speaker, I need to proceed straight. Mr. Speaker, my biggest issue here is to question the relationship between the budget and the life of the people that we serve. NIA seems to be having a bigger problem in whether the planners look at what problem need to be solved and does the budget solve the problem. I want to give the example, 2 examples in my constituency where I know well, that there's no big connection between the budget we pass and the life of our people. One, for example, let me talk about electricity. In my district, there are poles and wires in all the sub-counties across the district. Poles and wires, mark me properly. Poles and wires. The Ministry of Energy for the last 6 years has failed to put power in these wires. My question was, does the Ministry of Energy have energy? Because I see. Secondly, even where the power has gone, like the hospital, even where power has gone, like a beam hospital, the power cannot run an X-ray. We have an X-ray machine which cannot be run by the power that goes to the hospital. Now, imagine if you get a simple fracture, you are supposed to be transported, first for X-ray, to know what has happened, up to Matanya Hospital, 200 kilometers, for you to be worked on. And the roads are so rough. So you aren't get broken the more on the road as you move. So I want to explain that the budget doesn't have a big connection with the life of the people that we serve. Now, that road that you follow, first way, before that, the hospital, the mortuary has no doors. Should you make a mistake and die in that hospital? No. The next morning, you have no eyes. The next morning, a dead man has no eyes completely.
No, one more minute. Because I don't want to make a mistake of dying in a beam.
That is the problem. Mr. Speaker, the road that you follow to go to Matany was made 16 years ago, 16 years and 2 days ago. They made a very good road. Then the existing bridge was broken down. That they're going to put a good one. Up to now, 16 years, they have left the bridge. Now, in a rainy season, when the mother is being taken to Matany Hospital, when you get the water passing, you have to hold on. Either the mother dies waiting for water to pass, or those are risk and die in the water. So far, we have lost 11 mothers and 11 children. My question was, I want only to know, help me, how many children and pregnant mothers are you plan to die, then put the bridge? I want to know that question. How many, so that I don't disturb you. Let me know. How many mothers, pregnant mothers and children are you plan? Statistics. I want the Minister for Planning, so that I don't disturb you. I wait for them. Then I will say, okay, all of them have now died. Have now died. That's the second question. Other minister, let me forget about tarmac. Let me not talk about tarmac.
Thank you. No, thank you, Honor Norman. Thank you. Now, for people who don't know Norman Otero, former chairman, OC5 BIM. But you know, the issues he's raising are very, very, very critical. Because, like, really, in fact, Attorney General, I don't know how you're managing these contracts. Contracts of 2018, they started building power in 2018 all over the country. Some, they even put transformers. The transformers were ransacked. Those were the Iraqi ones, not commissioned. So you ask yourself, how will government gain? And how is it protected? So, Honorable Kasai, Minister for Energy, people of ABIM are doubting whether you have energy, but you will answer later. And he also said the power has no power. The power in ABIM has no power because it can't even run an X-ray. Honorable Wandwasi, Dr. Kamara.
Yeah, thank you so much, Honorable Speaker. I also want to appreciate the report given to us by the chairman in budget. However, Mr. Speaker, having read through the NDP4, which I know has given a lot of synergies to our BFP, Honorable Speaker, and it also rightly emphasizes on the issues of program-based budgeting. Mr. Speaker, as we deliberate on this BFP, I know a number of regions in our country that still need affirmative action. And like what is stated in the NDP4, Mr. Speaker, we have regions that needed to have been considered for affirmative action in order to address their peculiar issues. The case in point, Mr. Speaker, we have regions like Bugisu that have been faced by a number of catastrophes.
No, I don't think those were 2 minutes. Yeah, that must have been one.
Floods and many others. Mr. Speaker, if the chairman budgeting would have captured this, I do believe that if such regions like Bugisu would be considered for special programs, like, for example, to be coordinated